This is Fieldsports Channel News. The police firearms licensing unit that issued the shotgun licence to the Plymouth mass shooter is to be split up. Devon and Cornwall Police formed a shared unit with Dorset Police. This will now be separated. An inquest into the shootings heavily criticised the unit for its failures in issuing a shotgun licence to the man who killed 5 people in 2021. During the 5-week inquest, the firearms licensing unit was described as a shambles. Police have charged a 72-year-old man after 5 goshawks were found shot and killed in West Suffolk. The birds of prey were found in January at a parking area near Bury St Edmunds. X-rays showed all 5 birds had suffered injuries from multiple pieces of shot. Suffolk Police have charged a local man with multiple offences, including 5 counts of possession of a Schedule 1 wild bird, use of an animal trap and firearms offences. He will appear before magistrates at the end of June 2023. Firefighters have been tackling another fire on Marsden Moor. It's the 8th fire in the area this year. West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service warned the public to keep away from the area near Butterley Reservoir on the 9th of June. They stayed for 24 hours to dampen down the wildfire. The National Trust, which owns Marsden Moor, is ideologically opposed to Muirburn, which would create fire breaks. Staying with fires, and UK firefighters are to deploy new techniques to tackle the increase in wildfires. This year has already seen hundreds of wildfires, and one of the UK's largest ever at Cannock in Scotland covered 30 square miles. It could be seen from space. More fire crews are now training in skills from the world's worst wildfire hotspots in southern Europe and the US. This will include expanding the number of specialist teams trained in burn suppression techniques, the deliberate burning of land to keep a fire contained. At the moment, just 5 UK units across more than 50 fire and rescue services specialise in the fighting fire with fire technique, mostly in moorland areas. The Countryside Alliance fears that a new bill which aims to licence grouse moors will appoint the SSPCA as a new police force. The Wildlife Management and Muirburn Scotland Bill, currently debated in the Scottish Parliament, could lead to more powers for the anti-grouse shooting Scottish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Scottish Countryside Alliance Director Jake Swindles says the bill aimed to commission the charity to carry out evidence gathering and investigation.
We have genuine concerns over the Scottish Government's proposal to extend specific powers to the SSPCA, an organisation that's already shown bias against field sports. Now, whether these powers include the ability to investigate further than they're currently able to, or whether they are in relation to evidence gathering, it's worth noting that many police forces throughout the UK train their officers for in excess of 2 years to be able to call them competent. So we need to be very careful that any prosecution brought forward by Police Scotland isn't undermined by the process.
The government has expanded the badger cull. It's issued supplementary cull licences to 29 zones in England. Natural England published new licences in zones from Cornwall to Cheshire. It comes as the government seeks to move away from culls in favour of badger vaccination, increased cattle testing and the development of a cattle vaccine. Survival expert and TV presenter Ray Mears says the UK is not prepared for the release of wild lynx and wolf. Speaking at a Cheltenham Science Festival, he says that they're likely to become feared and hated if they're reintroduced into Britain's forests. He wants to see viable compensation schemes and incentives for farmers and gamekeepers. He points to the US, where the reintroduction of wolves to Idaho led to monumental hatred of the animals. It's the last week of the consultation on game bird releases in Wales, and the shooting organisations are encouraging shooters from across the world to take part. Natural Resources Wales released the online consultation at the end of March, and there's a link to it below. It details proposals to introduce a licensing system for the release of pheasants and red-legged partridge in Wales. If the proposals are implemented, game bird releasing will be restricted and only allowed under licence, giving the anti-shooting Welsh Government the power to shut down game shooting in Wales. The deadline for commenting is the 20th of June 2023.
We are in the final few days. So please, if you have not responded to the consultation, if you have not signed the Countryside Alliance e-lobby, please go to our website and do so. Not only sign it, but share it far and wide, because the future of shooting here in Wales really does depend on your support.
Hunters in Zimbabwe are angry over a private member's bill which aims to ban the importing of hunting trophies to the UK. An investigation by the Mail newspaper revealed that many feel that the West is poking its nose into affairs that it doesn't understand. The article quotes Africans who say that the West doesn't comprehend their wildlife numbers, nor what it's like to live next to dangerous animals. MP Henry Smith's bill gained support in the House of Commons and will now be debated in the Lords. And finally, an angler has caught a pike nearly 4 foot long and estimated to weigh about 40 pounds. Thomas Dojak was fishing in Pitsford Water in Northamptonshire when he landed the fish after a 30-minute tussle. He measured the fish and released it without weighing it as he wanted to prioritise its health. He says although the pike may have had record potential, he didn't have scales, and if he'd waited, the fish may not have survived. The current record for a pike is nearly 47 pounds from South Wales in 1992. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.